This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you!
Boring. Boring. Boring.
Okay, you gotta do it. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're gonna feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember what you're doing. You're in no position to dictate what we're gonna feel.
I call again for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages, the hostages.
Welcome once again. I never get enough of Keir Starmer calling for the return of the sausages. Might actually happen soon. Who knows? I'm Lembit Öpik. This is Lembit Öpik Live on Unprecedented TV, where we find the facts, kill the spin, and tell it like it is. If you're watching this live, thanks for your patience. My guest may be a political genius, but he's not so hot on the tech. We've been waiting for him to sort out his camera, isn't it? It's the simple things in life that get in the way, just as well he's not a pilot. Anyway, it's Keith Prince. He's going to join us, just as he's joined Reform UK. Why? Before we speak with him, I just want to remind you that you can participate in the comments if you go to X and also on YouTube. You'll find us there, Unprecedented TV. Please subscribe. We love it when you subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything at the moment, and it won't cost you anything in the future unless you want to pay. So there's no risk of it costing you anything, but it's a big benefit to us. The more numbers we have, the more shows we can do. And we've got lots of great shows as well, and we're very close to getting the schedule together now as well. Our wonderful producer, known affectionately as Moose, has put together a tremendous schedule, and things are going from strength to strength. Enough of the advertising there. Let's get on with the show today. If you're watching this on the archive, you can compare what we say today with what transpires. If you're watching it live, this is the first significant interview with one of the most recent really big deal defections from Conservatives to Reform. An interesting time for it to happen during the Conservative Party conference, once again, if you're watching live. And it's Keith Prince. He's a Greater London Assembly member. Why is this so important? Well, until now, Reform UK has had just one person on the Greater London Assembly. The problem with that is he can't be a group on his own. So he's got all kinds of limitations on his ability to function as an individual. But as a group, they can do a ton more. We'll find out what those extra rights are in a short while. Keith Prince's defection from the Conservatives to Reform UK means they are that group, with a chap called Alex Wilson at the helm, and Keith as his loyal subject. Also, I understand that Keith Prince met with Nigel Farage quite recently. I'll be interested to know what that discussion was about as well. But fundamentally, at a time when the Tory party conference is taking place, it seems that nothing is going right for poor Kemi Badenoch. A nice lady, I have to say, but apparently not a very effective leader. Certainly, if you judge by results, it's leaking like a sieve. And at the bottom, the bucket that's collecting the departing drops of conservatism is Reform UK. Does that carry with it some dangers? Is it possible that Reform UK becomes Conservatives 2.0? There's a name for that. It's called entryism. Well, all of those questions I shall put to our guest now. It is Keith Prince, former Conservative, and now Reform UK. You look just the same as you used to. What's changed, Keith?
Well, my underwear, for one.
Oh, too much information. Why did you have to say that? Is that because of fear? Is that because of fear of reprisals? Is that a cry for help? So, welcome. Last time we spoke, you were, I thought, a fairly unhappy Conservative nonetheless, and a fairly senior one. You were pretty active on the Greater London Assembly, and I understand you're also a councillor up in the northeast of London. Is that right?
Correct, yeah. London Borough of Havering, I'm a councillor there, yeah. Right,
so that means that you're now a Reform UK councillor and a Reform UK Greater London Assembly member. Why the change?
Well, as you say, when we last spoke, I was not really comfortable with the Conservative Party. I'm not happy in the direction it's been going. I've really felt that we were letting down, or had let down, the country over our 14 years of running the country. And that's really disappointing for me, because I've been a member of the Conservative Party for 49 years. And there comes a time when you think, you know, there's loyalty, of course there's loyalty, but then there's putting your country first. And I just don't think the Conservative Party have got the policies to put the country right. And that's actually being demonstrated throughout their conference, when all they're doing is just copying the policies and the ideas of reform. But why would you vote for reform light when you can actually vote for reform?
Yes, well, the Conservative Party conference hasn't gone terrifically well. Here's one of the sessions.
I think that's the isn't that the Chancellor of the Exchequer's session?
It's not looking good. It's one of the caveats. I think
Shadow Chancellor, I should say.
the old days, if that had been a Lib Dem conference, they'd have been overjoyed with the attendance.
Yeah, but they wouldn't have all fitted into the phone box, would they, Lembit? That's the thing.
The literally a large minibus would have been large enough for the Lib Dems. An 8-seater Volvo, if there is such a thing, would have been big enough after Nick Clegg wreaked his awful directionless havoc on the Lib Dems. But the Tories have traditionally been rather bigger. Now, the caveat here is maybe that's some weird early morning or late night session, but I doubt it.
No, I think you'll find terrible. That's the Shadow Chancellor's session.
That looks awful. I went to the Reform UK conference, and it was enormous.
Mobbed,
thousands,
mobbed,
thousands of people. They're probably the people who used to go there, actually.
Well, some of them, you know, the great thing about reform, it's not just drawing from the Conservative Party; it's pulling from the other political parties as well. Don't think we had too many Greens, but you know, most of the other parties seem to be coming on board.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about the other parties in a moment, but back to you. So you've said that you think that you might as well vote for the actual party with the policies rather than Reform Light, and you say it with some grief. Are you one of those people who's going to now damn your old party in the 49 years you spent in it?
No, not at all. We did some great things. We changed the whole script under Thatcher. That was brilliant. We had.
Well, everyone thinks that.
Well, that's because she was so convicted, and you know, when people have a vision and conviction, a lot of people disagree with them. There'll be some people who tell you that, in fact, most of the country told us they didn't like Churchill after the war. But you know, without him, it's a big question mark as to whether or not we would have won that war. So.
Well, we wouldn't have won it. I say we. My parents were in Estonia at the time, but I'm very grateful that you did win it. So thanks very much.
Thank you. It's all right. We, you know, put me off the straight there. But
I thought you did. I thought you handled that with such aplomb, and then it all fell to bits afterwards.
If you know. If you're going into politics, well, you will know this as well, Lembit. If you're going into politics to make friends and be popular, you've picked the wrong career, frankly.
Well, yes, as I've proved. I've proved more than you, actually.
You're a living proof. Yes. Well, we both are. Actually, we both lost an election.
Well, yeah, it worked out. In my general election campaigns, I played 5, won 3, lost 2. But one of the losses was a biggie. There we go. Now Kemi Badenoch, she's putting a brave face on all of this. I like her as a person. I think she's a very pleasant individual, actually. But why is it that her leadership hasn't persuaded you to stay?
Well, as you know, I actually worked with Kemi when I was on the Assembly. So, you know, I consider her a friend. She's comes from the same area as my wife does in Nigeria, and yeah, she's a lovely person. She really is, but I just don't think she's cut out for leadership of a mainstream party. I mean, Starmer's kind of misproved the rule, but normally you want someone who's a bit larger than life, someone with a fantastic personality and charisma. It's probably why you led the Welsh Liberal Democrats.
Okay, thank you. I forgive you. I forgive you for your technical failures earlier on. Now keep going.
But,
we can talk about this a lot if you want.
She's not cutting it, is she? She doesn't have a presence. I mean, she is. I don't mean this disrespectfully. She is someone who can walk into a room and walk out again without you noticing. That's not something you can say about Boris Johnson or Margaret Thatcher. And I think because she is always very intent on getting to the detail of things, and she is very good at that, very good at the detail. She's spending too much time working on the detail than actually getting the policies out into the public domain to win people over. I mean, it is no good having the most detailed and accurate policies, fully worked out plans the day after the election.
Yeah, well, that's right. But she has actually tried to take the party further forward. I mean, this is one of the things she's been saying. Kenny Bain not vows to repeal the Climate Change Act. That's something I think she's right to say, to be honest. As you know from previous conversations, I think that the entire climate change agenda is utter baloney. And I'm pleased she's doing that. She actually described the original policy as catastrophic mistake, but it was a Tory decision, and you were part of it. You were in the Conservatives when this happened.
Yeah, I was. I wasn't in a position to influence that because I was on the Assembly. Thank God the Mayor doesn't have power over climate, although where he does, we've seen his madness in relation to ULEZ and so on. Yeah, I'm making no apologies for the party that I've had to leave because I just don't feel comfortable with them. I don't think they have really got the policies. Again, this is something that we know Reform would have done. We don't, and that's the point, isn't it? You know, she's having to say, "Oh, this is what we will do." With Reform, you know, Nigel doesn't even have to say that is what we know. That's what he's going to do because people know what Reform stand for. People no longer know what the Conservatives stand for.
Yeah, that's. I watched. I can't remember the guy's name now. He was quite senior in the Conservatives, who spent his entire speech saying how sorrowful and upset he was about leaving the Conservatives. I'm never really that convinced when people do that because it sounded to me. What was his name? He was like deputy chair or something. Was it recently? He moved across. You can't even remember. There we go. Well, he moved across, and the problem I've got with that is if you're leaving because you don't like the others, that's not a great reason. I mean, from my point of view, I was in the Lib Dems for decades, a bit like you and the Conservatives. And in the end, the Lib Dems just became such a shower, such a contradiction when it comes to the freedom of speech, particularly, that I didn't want to be there anymore. And I actually left politics. I left politics completely and just did other things. And the only reason I've come back in is because Reform has come into the space that the Lib Dems used to occupy whenever I joined them. So I didn't join as a negative. I joined as a positive because I thought actually Reform can probably create the kind of country or something like it, which I enjoy. In which camp do you stand? Is it that you want to carry on in politics? This is quite a direct question, really. And therefore you've shifted from the Conservatives to Reform because that's the best way of doing it? Or is it because you actually positively think Reform can do a better job?
Well, I think it's very much so that like you said, when I joined the Conservative Party back in the 70s, we had a very dynamic leader and we had a vision. I don't think we could accuse the Conservatives of that at the moment, but we certainly see that with Reform. And that is what's attracted me to Reform. The fact they're dynamic, they have a vision, and they really care about the country. And actually, they're believable. I honestly think that Nigel, having met Nigel, wants to make Britain great again. And I just haven't had that feeling for a long time within the Conservatives. Although I did kind of think under Boris we were on the right track.
You met Nigel. You've met Nigel. What's he like?
He is exactly like what you see. What you see is what you get. Nigel's one of those people when you sit down in front of him, go, "Oh right, well this is the real Nigel." He's very charismatic. He's funny. and yet he's very knowledgeable as well. I find him very impressive.
And you've been persuaded to join. Is there a risk that you'll be accused of joining a personality cult because of Nigel's effervescence, his charisma? Now, you said something interesting about Kenny Badenoch. You can walk in and out of a room and people don't notice. That cannot ever happen with Nigel. But is there a danger that the whole party orbits around him?
Well, I think it does. I mean, I don't think there's any secret about that. And I think he will be the new prime minister. And the reason that I've joined the Reform Party is to ensure that he is the next prime minister. Mm-hmm. Reform without Nigel, don't quite know what that looks like.
Okay, that puts an awful lot of weight on one man's shoulders. A party, from my experience, can't survive on one person alone. I had obviously, as you said before, a leading role in the Welsh Lib Dems, and I like to think I was responsible for professionalizing the party. The problem is, after I left, they lost all of the gains. They just squandered everything I created and couldn't sustain it. Now, I put that down to my failure to create a sort of follow-on leadership, if you like. And I realized, I say it with sorrow because I spent so much time doing it, and then it didn't really carry on. Is there a danger then that this party is overly fixated with one person and it needs to expand?
Well, I think Nigel, having spoken to him, I think Nigel recognises that, and this is very much work in progress. I mean, Reform is still a very young party, and its resurgence under Nigel is even younger, if you like. But he's an intelligent man. He's not a young man, so he understands that he won't be going on forever. But it is a work in progress. That's why people like me, people like you with a lot of experience in campaigning, and funnily enough, coming from slightly different sides of the political coin, he's brought us on board to help him to build that foundation. And then once we've got the foundation right, we start actually building the structure. But that takes time. If you rush these things, like anything that you build and rush, it falls over. Yes,
as others have discovered. We'll come back to you in a minute. I want to show you a rather amusing little slide or picture that I saw, suggesting that you've joined Conservatives 2.0. But before that, let's remind you, dear viewer, of one of the great shows we have here with Tim Scott, who does Tim Scott Uncancelled. He reviews the stories you may have missed, and he is absolutely great value. Also happens to be in charge of the Freedom Association. Here's Tim Scott. Yes, Tim Scott. I don't know if you've ever met him. He's quite keen on reform. Do you know him?
No.
Keith?
No.
He's a tremendous campaigner for freedom. And I want to talk about that now. Freedom doesn't seem to be in surplus at the moment. We've got this crazy situation where you can be arrested for holding a handwritten placard supporting the newly prescribed organization Palestine Action. Now, leaving aside the ins and outs of Palestine Action, hundreds of people are being arrested. Hundreds, over 1,000, probably thousands now. And then you've got that going on. And it doesn't matter whether you're pro-Israel or pro-Palestine. This is about pro-freedom of expression. I've got major concerns about this. Then you've got Keir Starmer saying that if you go on these Palestine marches, then you're anti-Semitic. And lo and behold, I don't know if you know this, but Shabana Mahmood, the Home Secretary, went on those marches. Did you know this? She was actually protesting in the past. Yeah, there's a video which I put out on my X yesterday, and you'll find it on X, where she's saying how great it is. And she lay down outside Sainsbury's and she obstructed people. So is Starmer saying that the Home Secretary is anti-Semitic? Now, you've got all this nonsense going on because Starmer doesn't seem to understand the difference between a country, Israel, and a religion, Judaism. And for me, at least, Keith, we've now got a situation where free speech is so in peril that we've actually got a prime minister who says, if you oppose Israeli government policy, then you're anti-Semitic. Why don't we say, if you oppose British government policy, you're anti-Christian? Because it's the same thing. It's as stupid. And so with all this going on, I'm wondering if the biggest single fight that Reform UK should be taking on is protecting our liberty, because without our liberty, there's nothing else to fight for.
Well, I think there is something there. I was quite interested. I saw that the Greens have voted to prescribe the IDF, which is the Israeli Defence Force.
Yeah,
interesting, and label them a terrorist organisation.
Yeah, but they're the Greens. They're not really a proper political party, are they? I mean, whatever he called, Zach Polanski, said that they welcome migrants. They're taking exactly the opposite approach of the Labour Party and the Conservatives. Not sure where the Lib Dems stand, but that's not very important anyway anymore. The Greens, wonderful. They think there's a climate emergency as well. The great demon, carbon dioxide, which is described on BBC Radio 4 recently as sewage. It was compared to sewage. I wonder what the plants are going to eat if you get rid of the sewage. But anyway,
that working class man whose real name isn't Zach, but his real name wasn't Zach, but he wasn't born Zach Polanski.
Really?
No, he was something like David someone or other, and he changed his name. And the working class boy who came from a very wealthy family. Yeah.
Well, so there was no risk.
But he's good. I mean, he's on the Assembly. I like him, and he's very good. He's actually very good. So good luck to him and good luck to them. But sorry, I'm not avoiding answering the question.
No, it's okay. I'm actually, on another occasion, I'm interested to do a longer interview with your views on all these people, because you have had the benefit. Just explain to people maybe, what is the Greater London Assembly, this thing that you sit on?
It is the body that scrutinises the work of the Mayor of London. When the elections take place for the Mayor of London at the same time, it's a very complicated system, but just to say that 25 other politicians are elected to scrutinise the work that he does. So we are able to question him, but also we have committees. So we will do investigations, and then we will make recommendations to the Mayor of London, and then he has the opportunity to either adopt those ideas or just to completely ignore them.
Which does he tend to do? It's a leading question.
You know, he does tend to go for the latter option frequently. But I mean, the problem we have is, for an example, Transport Committee. Until a few days ago, I was Deputy Chair of the Transport Committee, and we knew they were bringing out a new policy for taxis and private hire. And we said to them, well, let's have a look at it before you publish it, and then maybe we can improve it or make some suggestions or give some input, blah, blah, blah. No. Once we've done it, we'll let you look at it. Well, we looked at it and it was rubbish. And, you know, we've had to make a whole load of recommendations as to how they could improve it.
Unknown caller.
Sorry, 1 second.
Is that Sadiq Khan?
Yeah,
telling you to shut up.
Saying, you annoying person. Careful not to swear.
Remember, it's a family show, yeah. And it is live.
Well, it's interesting because I think I've mentioned a couple of MQTs where he actually accused me of being the most effective Tory. I wonder if he still holds that view now that I've joined Reform.
Mayor's question time. Well, he won't say you're the most effective Tory anymore, will he?
No,
he might call it the most effective Reform.
Sure.
or maybe the second most effective Reform.
Well, indeed, yeah, I may have gone down the ranking now. I suspect there's going to be quite a bit of banter on Thursday when we do MQTs, because no doubt he'll take the opportunity of my change to have a good dig at the Conservatives, and then no doubt he'll have a pop at me as well. So that should be a big.
You've got a new boss there. I mean, this is your new boss.
Yes. We had an election and I elected him as the leader.
What was the turnout?
It was packed. Our broom cupboard in the assembly was absolutely ram packed.
Was it a
and
secret ballot?
It was unanimous. No, it was unanimous. It was a ballot. It was in secret, and he got 100% of the votes. Yes.
You see, that's a bit North Korean in my view. There would have been stranger if you hadn't.
That's the Silvertown docks there, not North Korea.
So Alex Wilson, the picture of Alex Wilson there illustrates your new group leader. And this is the important point, isn't it? Before, Alex was a lone wolf on the Greater London Assembly. Now you're a group. What can you do as a group that you couldn't do, that he couldn't do as an individual?
Well, there's a few things, actually. Probably the most important thing for us is that we can now table motions. Before, he would have to try and get someone else from a different party to support his motions, which, of course, not too many people were forthcoming on that. That's probably the most important thing. The other important thing, actually, is now that we're what's called a recognised group, we are now entitled to a percentage of the seats on the committees. It's called proportionality. And when in local government, in regional government, whenever there are committees, it has to reflect the proportions of the different parties. So now that we are a party, we can actually demand seats on certain committees, whereas before, as Alex quite rightly put it, he had to put up with the crumbs. So they just place you here and there where there's a few gaps.
And so you're going to be back in onto committees and so on. You're going to be pretty busy, actually. I bet you'll get more offers just because of the way the system works than you can take.
Depends what those offers are. What do you mean by more offers?
Well, because if there's a proportionality, a small group, I know from personal experience, small group has to work really hard to fulfill all its obligations. If there were 7 of you, you could split the labor, so to speak. But now, with 2 of you, if you want to take up all the options, I'm guessing that means that you're both going to spend a lot of time at City Hall.
Yes and no, because it's proportional. We only get the correct percentage of seats that reflects the number of members that we've got. So in theory, we shouldn't have any as an individual, you shouldn't have any more work than anyone else. But of course, what it does mean is that you can't, you have to take up the quota, whereas with a bigger party, you'll always get those members who like sitting on committees, so they will take a greater level of burden, and you get those who prefer to do policy work, so they will do fewer committees. And then you get the people, not in our party, of course, but in other parties where they're just too lazy to sit on any committees.
Is it safe to say that all of the Greater London Assembly members in Reform UK are hardworking?
Well, I can confirm that Alex is, yes.
You see, you're already slacking, day 4, and you're already planning your holidays. People like you, I don't know. What's the mood? So okay, so we've covered why you've shifted. We've covered what that means, which is, in my view, a pretty big deal. For the first time, Reform UK now has a recognised group. And never mind the numbers, that's a qualitative step change. It's not like having more people, it's having a completely different status. And it leads me to really the last area I wanted to cover with you. On another occasion, I'd like to go more deeply into your credo, into what you stand for and so forth. And I'll explain why at the end of the show. But what's the dynamic going to be between you and the Conservatives? Is there going to be tension?
Well, I hope not. Nobody said anything really nasty about me yet from my group within City Hall, and they certainly were not the reason I moved. I got on very well with them. I really liked them. They are all hardworking people, a great bunch, a really great bunch of people, actually. Probably the best bunch we've had since I've been sitting on the Assembly. Very wide range of talents, and a couple of them phoned me up and congratulated me and said, let's stay in touch, understand why you've done it. Couple of tweeted challenging tweets, but nothing nasty, so I can live with that. I would like to. I was speaking to Susan, who is the leader only yesterday, and we're going to meet up for a coffee. And indeed, there are so many areas where we can and should be working together, and I think it's all going to be very adult, and I think we are going to actually drive the agenda forward.
Not sure how adult this picture is. Read Tory UK. It made us laugh here in the studio. They egged me on to put it up there. Isn't there?
Well, I think on that, if I could just say on that, it's obviously I'm not part of the SAS. I haven't gone in there to take it over.
Well, explain what that is.
What, the SAS?
Yes.
Special
air service. Yeah. You literally mean the SAS. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
It was so incongruous to consider you to be in that kind of role. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend you.
I'm sorry. I can't really go into that more deeply, or I'd have to top you.
Right. You heard it first. That's a hate crime, I think. But anyway, carry
on. The situation, that picture's a bit rough, isn't it? It almost looks like what do you call it? GI, whatever they call it.
AI. I don't think it's obviously it's not real. Are you having second thoughts now? Maybe you joined a different party.
No. So I mean, the bottom line on this is that there are reform is, as I've said right at the very beginning, more like the Conservative Party that I joined when I joined it, or certainly a couple of years after I joined it. And that's the attraction for me. And that's the sort of party that I want to be a member of. It's not a case of the Tories coming over and taking over reform. It's a case of there are people within the Conservative Party, because I've never been a Tory, who actually like what reform we're doing and believe that is what we need to do. More importantly, I think it's a case of this is what's needed for the country. And if I want to save my country, if I want to make my country great again, then I need to be in a position where I can influence that.
In your judgment, then, just putting all this together, you've got no intention of leaving politics right now. And I guess that means you'll have to stand for election. And that implies that you think reform is going to do well. Some say it's a one-hit wonder. They say this is a bit like the STP. Most viewers won't remember them, who did fabulously well. They were over 50% in the polls around 1981 or 82. But then they crashed and burned, partly because of the Falklands War. Is it a possibility that reform will do the same? They'll peak too soon?
A week's a long time in politics, isn't it? You never know. But what I've done is
I hear that every week.
I've joined the party that I think best represents the majority of my views, not all of them, but the majority of my views, and who I think is the right party with the right policies to mend what is fastly becoming a broken Britain.
Okay, three quick policy questions then. Do you think Reform UK can stop the migrant crisis, which is affecting so many people's views?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it won't happen overnight, but it's not that difficult to fix. At the moment, it's almost like, well done, you've come across, here's your reward.
Second thing, is Nigel Farage serious about junking net zero, this, in my view, insane climate hoax policy area?
Well, I think we both know the answer to that, and I think most of the people know the answer to that. It's an unqualified yes.
And the third and the final question, wokeism, which seems to be on the wane now. What will be different in terms of this woke agenda under Prime Minister Nigel Farage?
Well, I think he'll get away with all this woke rubbish. I'm hoping to take on board 2 new members of staff in the not too distant future, but as a condition of being an employee of the GLA, you have to attend an unconscious bias course.
What? An unconscious bias course? What's that about your center of gravity? Are you serious? Unconscious bias. So I might be institutionally racist because I'm white.
We've had to let one of our members of staff go because he, quite rightly, refused to do the course.
Extraordinary. So is Woke going to be big in 2029, which is when I think the next general election will be?
I suspect it'll take a little bit of time, but woke will be on the wane.
I can see a catchphrase somewhere in there. Now, last words to your constituents who elected you as a Conservative and now have you as Reform UK. What do you say to them?
Thank you.
Not sorry then, because they could say, you should have a by-election now because you've changed party.
I think that they elected me because they know what I stand for. They elected Keith Prince. Yes, I did stand under the Conservative banner, which, 2.5 years ago stood for something slightly different to what it stands for today. And a number of my constituents have actually. One contacted me and said, well done, Keith, we agree with that. Others have said, well, we were thinking of joining as well. A few dissenters who are not from my party, well, except for two actually, just thinking about it, who have their own motivations, are calling for a by-election. My constituency is around about 300,000 voters. It would cost an enormous amount of money to call a by-election. As for my seat in Havering, well, there's only about 7 months to go, so that would be madness to do that. And in fact,
that's a council seat, you mean?
Yeah, my council seat. So they will have the opportunity to make that decision in May next year, and I think that would pretty much reaffirm that I have made the right decision, that they support me.
The only mistake I really think you've made in this interview is labeling yourself blank on the screen.
Yes. Because, as you said, I'm challenged when it comes to technology, and in the rush to get on air, I did not fill my name details in.
My producer suggests what it's saying, really, what you're telling the viewer is that the future is a blank script that we write for ourselves.
Well, that is good in a way, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much for that. And the reason I want you to come back and do the longer program on Free Speech Central is I really want to explore values. I want, if you're willing to do this, to talk with you as a case study in defection and go deep into the philosophy of it. Why would somebody move after half a century in one party to another one? Now I declare an interest. Obviously, I've made a move as well. It's not about me. And I want to really challenge that. Can you really move from one party to another? And we can get really into that.
Just a few words on that. Some people said, "Oh, where's your loyalty?" I was loyal to the Conservative Party for 49 years. That's longer than a lot of people have lived. Mm-hmm. But loyalty is a reciprocal thing, and if you become a member of something and that something changes, then you're not hogtied to it, are you?
No, that's fair enough. Thank you so much, and bon chance with Thursday. I'll be watching with interest how the new group performs, and thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us, Keith.
Always a pleasure.
Last word to you. Anything else you want to say before we finish?
No, thanks, Lembit. In fact, thanks very much, because you were one of the reasons why the story broke earlier than it was supposed to. Because the Standard said, "Oh, we've been seeing what you've been saying about Kemi on the Lembit Öpik show." And,
really? Really?
Well, you're leaving? Yes. Actually, yeah. Ross Little from the Standard actually said, "Oh, I've been watching what you'd been doing with Lembit." I went, "Oh, crikey."
That's an unexpected flattery and motivation for unprecedented TV. Thank you.
Indeed. There we go.
That's a nice place to finish. Thank you so much. That's Keith Prince indicating, incidentally, that we here are going from strength to strength, as it seems is Keith Prince himself. Do have your say. Please subscribe on our YouTube channel. That's Unprecedented TV. And please do tell us what you think. I didn't get into the quotes, comments today. I will follow that up after the show. If you're watching on the archive, perhaps you can compare with Keith what he said and what he does, because he's obviously a results-oriented person. I know that from outside this interview. Coming up today, lots of other great shows. And if you're watching on the archive, have a little browse around. You might find a show that particularly takes your fancy. Thanks very much to Keith Prince. Thanks very much to the team. More than anything, thanks to you for having faith in unprecedented TV. Don't defect to the others. We don't want to beat the mainstream. We want to be the mainstream. Have a really good day.
Immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the return of the sausages.